Welcome back.
It's nice to be here, Patty.
Today you brought a collection of books for young readers, and let's start with the first one. This first one is a child-tested picture book. It's called Show Dog by Megan McCarthy. It's published by Viking Press. Tell us a little bit about why this one.
Well, the reason it's child-tested is that I actually take it to preschool. My wife teaches at Grace Lutheran Day School, and every year I give her a couple dozen books to try out, and this is one of the favorites of the kids. And it's a story about a dog named Ed, who enters a dog show, and his competition is Princess. And we're
The poodle.
we're going to see Princess here. And Princess has all the accoutrement that a dog of that ilk has, the clipped toenails, shiny teeth, even though you don't see them, and serious attitude, serious haircut. And then for whatever reason, the family who owns Ed decides to enter Ed in the dog show, and Ed has everything that Princess does not, including mud.
Fleas.
And and he's we'll see a shot of him here too in a second, and he is just atrocious. I mean, he's a true rolled around in the mud. His brain thinks about chew toys, mud, food, tennis balls, and sometimes airplanes. You see there's drool and saliva, and so Ed does everything that we would expect as readers he's going to do. He doesn't win. He makes a little bit of a nasty deposit in the line on the way into the show. And but the surprise ending is that Princess falls for Ed, and much to the dismay of Princess's owner, Mr. Pitt. But in the last shot, the Hubbles are going off on a vacation, and you can see that Ed and the Princess have gotten busy, and the Hubbles have at least 2 dogs per child and adults. It's just a lot of fun. It's just, everybody knows, even a 4-year-old, that this dog has no chance of winning, but he's very, very charming.
So this is the kind of book kids are giggling at and adults like it just as much.
Exactly, and those are always the best, when you have the adult and the child audience pleased at the same time.
Okay, this next one is The Great Fuzz Frenzy. It's by a team of sisters, Janet Stevens and Susan Stevens Crummell, who illustrated. And actually, Janet Stevens is the illustrator.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about this one.
Well, a dog named Violet in Texas drops a green tennis ball down a prairie dog hole, and it just sets all kinds of things loose. What happens is that at first, there's kind of a bossy dog there who keeps everyone away. His name is Big Bark. But a tiny piece of fuzz got caught in little Pip's claw. She looked at it, she turned it, sniffed it, and then she put it on her head. Look at me. Ah, the crowd sighed. Quit hamming it up, you half-pint hamster, snarled Big Bark. I'm in charge. But things get out of hand quickly because everybody wants a little piece of fuzz. So the prairie dogs pulled it. They puffed it, they stretched it, they fluffed it, they tugged it, they twirled it, they spiked it, they swirled it, they fuzzed their ears, their heads, their noses, they fuzzed their feet, their tails, their toeses. And so the world becomes just awash in this tennis ball fuzz. Everybody they're wearing tutus, they're doing all sorts of things until they all fall asleep in exhaustion. Big Bark gathers it all up, but then he's swooped down by an eagle. They rescue him. And they all agree that their lives were just fine before the fuzz came along, except at the end, you see the same dog standing above the prairie dog hole with an orange ball.
Ready to start this whole fiasco all over again.
Yeah.
This is actually a book with a lesson.
It is, yeah. It's about cooperation and sharing and, doing things for other people, which I think prairie dogs are pretty good at. Like that Meerkat Manor show, too, where they're always babysitting for each other and watching out for each other. It's very nice. It's a good lesson for preschool.
And as you illustrated, it's a good read aloud book.
Yes, very fun. Yeah, it's and the kids just love it. This is the kind of book where when the eagle comes down, the kids go, uh-oh, and they say it again when Violet's ready to drop the orange fuzz ball at the end. All
right, so this next one, this is for older readers. This is Hugo Cabre. This is an interesting book. We talked before about the graphic novel.
Right,
this isn't exactly a graphic novel, but again, we've got an author-illustrator, Brian Selznick, behind this particular masterpiece, really. Tell us something about it.
Well, Brian really has done something that hasn't really been quite done like this before, and that is he is going along telling a story without words at all in a classic kind of graphic novel form with no text. Because it is one of the subgenres of that. But then suddenly he'll go into and use text exclusively too. He goes back and forth between the two, and he does it so that each one advances the story. It's not the classic picture book where it's a marriage of text and image, but it's an alternating relationship between the two. And it's fascinating to read. And there's so much told in the pictures. It's a story of a little boy whose father has died, and his uncle was taking care of him.
A mouse, really?
No, this is a real boy. This is a real boy, yeah. How
Okay.
about that? In a children's book, it's a real boy. But his uncle was taking care of him, and there is a wind-up mouse involved. But his uncle dies, and he takes his uncle's place, winding the clocks in a Paris railroad station. But there's more to the story than that, because there's an automaton that his father had worked on that he is stealing from a toy maker to get the parts to get this thing running. And it turns out the toy maker is the famous silent French film director, Georges Méliès, and he plays a part in this book. It's a very intricate story, and his granddaughter is in it. And
He had a number of interesting influences for this one.
He did, from those early silent films. And he hopes that people will feel it's like looking at a silent film, and it's almost like those flip books, whereas the pages go by, and the image we see here is from one of Georges Méliès' films. And this is what the automaton draws when he finally completes the process of getting him mechanically ready to act again, as he had once done when he was invented. Automatons were often invented by magicians, and it was often magicians who went into the early films too, that combination of being good with mechanics and with the magic of making things appear and disappear.
Does this book sort of give us a glimpse into children's literature in the future, because it is so different, so revolutionary for a child's book?
I think it does. I think it shows that all bets are off. I mean, it's still linear. It still does move from left to right as we do in English, still using English text. But the fact that it has these two hybrid styles being used is very interesting. It's also, I think, a good crossover book where I think many adults who are interested in graphic novels will find this fascinating. And you can use it in some ways with younger kids than the actual originally intended audience. Because,
Which are teens.
Yeah, because of the huge number of illustrations. And you can maybe not go into as much detail with the story, but help kind of ferret out what's happening.
It's interesting because it's a page turner in a different way. Each page reveals more of the story, whether it's in pictures or in text.
Right.
So it's
something you really do have to look at more than a few times.
Okay, this next one, this is The New Policeman by Kate Thompson. It was published by Bodley Head, and this, like many of the others, it's an award winner too.
It is. It was just published in the U.S. this year, and this is a story of a young boy, J.J. Liddy, in Western Ireland near Galway. And
which is where the author is from.
Yeah, she's had lived there a very long time, and that's where she raises her family now, too. And young Mr. Liddy's, there's some secret in his family that he's just discovered, and he's a bit ashamed to hear about it, and that's supposedly his grandfather killed a priest some years before. And it turns out that he actually is going to be the person to help solve it, but in a way you would never expect, and that is he's able to travel into the fairy world, which is an alternative universe in his very town, where he meets his grandfather as a younger man, because he's been going back and forth in these worlds too. He actually also meets the priest and ends up having a part in stopping the priest from allowing time to leak from our world into the fairy world, where they are finally seeing the day get longer, because otherwise they've never had night. It's always been just daytime. And everyone in our world is saying, where does the time go? We do say that a lot. And it turns out that it was a flute stuck in kind of the door between the two worlds that was allowing the time to leak through the holes. And when that flute was pulled out, J.J. was able to bring it back to this world to be able to play it. And he's an incredible musician. There's music running through this book very much, Irish traditional music.
In fact, one reviewer says it masterfully weaves together melody and harmony into a tune. You know, that time concept that you're talking about, we often think of that as an adult issue, but the reality is that kids are pressed for time today. They're competing athletically and for scholarships, and time is as big a premium for them as it is for adults. So
it was an
this rings true for them.
It does. It was an interesting concept to weave into a more traditional fantasy novel, and to really have at its heart the idea that we need to slow down to listen to music, to do things with each other. And it definitely is a good message of the traditions of storytelling and traditional music, Ireland and elsewhere in the world.
All right, another great selection of good reads.
Thanks, Patty.
Thanks so much for talking with us.
My pleasure.
A copy of the program you've just seen can be purchased through Penn State Media Sales at mediasales.psu.edu or by calling 800-770-2030. 2111.